Okay, what we're going to do here is we're going to remelt our plastic. If you saw the fish video, what I've done was I took all those baits out of the molds that I hand poured and I just pulled them apart. I didn't even use scissors. I just broke them in half, threw them back in the cup. Now a lot of times what I like to do when I do that is I'll use just a couple of drops of plastic and I'll mix them up so they're all wet. You can also add a little heat stabilizer. I don't find I need heat stabilizer. If I don't overheat it, I really don't need it. I can heat the bait several times without having any color problems. But I really try not to overheat the baits, the plastic at all, if I can help it. Holds up much better that way. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to inject a bait. Now this is what your hot plate comes in good for. Here, my microwave drop down. Okay, what I'm going to do, here's my injector. It's just, you just pull it and get the plastic out. But we'll see that here in a second. The injector will work a lot better if it's warm, and your plastic won't plug up as much if it's warm. So what I do is I take my hot plate. Yes, I'm sure there's a better way to do this. You don't have to send me 12,000 nasty comments on my video. But I put it on low so I just have heat, because it doesn't have to be hot, it just has to be warm. And I stand my injector up on my hot plate for, while my plastic's melting, which I've not attended to very well here. See, this plastic it's already melting fairly well. Put my spoon back in the glass. Continue my reheat. Now this thing is made out of, this injector is just aluminum. They're like 50 bucks on the internet. Move some of this stuff out of the way here before I hurt something. Until I started heating up my injector, before that, I had all kinds of problems injecting baits. And it's because the aluminum cools off the plastic when you draw it in. So the whole inside is cooled along the edge, and it makes your plastic very hard to work with. Once I started heating up my injector, it started working beautiful. See my plastic? It's hot. It's ready to go. And actually my plastic beat my injector because I wasn't paying attention. So my injector is not ready to go. It's warm. Also take the injector nozzle and I just place it beside the injector so it can also warm up a little bit. That's gonna have to work. I don't want my plastic to cool off anymore. I'm just need to get one shot out of here, so put your nozzle in, draw your plastic in, chase the plastic down. The bottom of the cup, I try not to get any air in there, and I put it in. Push down with the nozzle. Give it a little extra squeeze. And that's it. Injected fish. I have some left here, so see if we can make a sinko or two. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work or not. Now that injector's had hot plastic in it, it is super hot, almost to the point where you can't hold it. Actually, I can't hold it. That will hold heat for a very long time. So now, when I go to continue my injections, I shouldn't have to worry about heat. It's just the initial one that you have to worry about. And that's not really a smart thing to do. It'll hold heat for a long time now. So I can continue to inject these baits, heat up plastic, inject, heat up, inject without any trouble. Eventually, your aluminum molds will get so hot you can't even barely hold on to them. The warmer they get, the longer you have to wait to separate them. This one here is still, it's just barely a temperature difference that I can note. So what I do, take my little scissors, pull up the runner, snip the baits, and booyah, baby. Now, if you watch me here pour those other ones versus injecting these, you can quickly see how aluminum molds and injecting is like crack, because that was easy. And this is a store, no, that was one that I made. That's a store-bought, and those are the ones that I made. Now for that color, I probably need more black to get it a little darker. I probably should have laid off the motor oil if I want it to be closer to the watermelon. Because the motor oil has like a yellow in it, so it made it a little bit more green. But that's just color experimentation. But I know, I mean, that color is going to be perfectly fine. Fish aren't going to care. Also, they have a lot more, goodness gracious, glitter. Theirs has a lot more glitter. And if I was making these baits for myself to use as more than demonstration, I would have used more glitter. Again, they're going to work fine. They just don't have as much glitter in them as I would have liked. But there you go, injection molding, piece of cake. Now let's take a look at the sinko, see if those came out. I don't inject mold the sinkos. Like I said before, you can hand pour them if your plastic's good and hot. They pour fine. But you can see, I mean, those actually came out pretty good. There's a little air pocket piece here, but the fish don't care. They're good to go. We're going to pull that out. Cut off the runner. Beautiful. And you noticed, or maybe you didn't, but I didn't add salt on these. Salt really is personal preference. Just the main thing with salt is it affects your sink rate. I put a hook in these, anywhere from a 3 to a 5, and they sink just fine. I don't add salt to most of my baits unless I'm going for a certain effect. The salt does weaken the material. If you're doing remelts with salt and without salt, though, it does give you a little bit more to keep track of if you're saving your old baits for a remelt, which is what these baits are made out of. Those are remelted baits that I made out of those fish in the previous video. So reusing your baits over and over and over again is very easy to do when you're doing your own baits. Oh, I just noticed in the middle here, there's an air pocket right there. If you can see it, it's thin. So this bait actually did not come out correctly. So we'll just turn him into a new bait. In the pot you go, brother. But that's the problem I have with the Senko mold and trying to inject mold it. It's far easier with good hot plastic to just pour it in there. It fills right up and they come out so much easier. The injection molding, you have to fight the injector, and then you have to clean it between each batch also. So that injector is still, it's warm enough so I can hold it, but it's still quite warm. And you can see there's a plug in there, and that's a plug of hot plastic that's hardened, and the injector comes out clean. So that's also extra plastic that basically is wasted as far as that pour goes. Of course you just remelt it and you can reuse it, but I can't use it on that pour because it's the material used up in my pour process. So if I'm doing molds whenever I can hand pour a mold, that's the way I do it. I just find it's easier. But there we go.